guys, my name is Ramota. Welcome back to my channel. I am the Global Scientist. So today, even though it's been ages, I'm going to be talking about my research abroad experience, kind of what I got up to, where I was, what I was doing. If you've been following me on Instagram and on Twitter, which you guys definitely should, I'll be sure to put the socials down below. You can kind of see I've been all over the place. I've been to Nigeria and I've been to Barcelona. I've been back at Liverpool. I'm in London at the moment. My life is basically trains and aeroplanes. I'm sure there's a song for that somewhere. And so I kind of just wanted to do a brief insight into what I was doing, what research abroad is kind of like, and just exciting things to come. So, idea behind my research abroad is that I was working on tuberculosis. As part of my master's degree, you're obviously required to do a dissertation. For those of you who don't know, I'm doing my master's in tropical disease biology. You can do your dissertation either in labs doing stuff on like trypanosomes, malaria, just working on mosquitoes, working with sandflies, different kind of things like that. You could do a literature review, looking at previous literature, probably on something that the professor wants to work on in the future and they want to know basically where the holes in research are. Or you can do research abroad. This is not as commonly done for my degree. I go to a tropical medicine school, so there are a lot of public health, humanitarian studies. A lot of them tend to go abroad because obviously it fits more into the mold of their kind of degree. I was really lucky. Back in October, November, you kind of get like a list of projects you can do. TB was something that I was interested in, kind of stood out. Met with the supervisor and he was basically looking into tuberculosis diagnosis. He was looking at it from two paths. So he was using one on cups, which has been previously researched by his master's student the year before, or one on urine, which is kind of the first year we're doing this, and it would be really cool if it works out. And even if it doesn't, it kind of just, it's either way, it's a really interesting perspective to have on something. So I ended up opting for the urine experiment, which is really cool. It was brand new. There's not a lot of data on it. There's not a lot of research on it, which makes it a bit frustrating when you're trying to do literature review. But at the same time, you kind of know your results have an impact, which is something I really wanted. Through this, I got the opportunity to go to Nigeria. I am Nigerian. My parents are Nigerian. I've lived in Nigeria for about 4 years when I was a kid. But I thought it would be really exciting for me to go because it would be a completely different part of Nigeria. I wanted an experience that was new, but not so new that I'd be so like stunned by the culture shock. I wouldn't really like be focused on the science. So it was kind of the best of both worlds for me, and I kind of understood the culture, the currency, things like that. So I went for 6 weeks. My colleague who came with me went for 7 weeks. We were primarily based off at a university that kind of has a built-in lab that has been built over a couple of years with my supervisor, and it was great. Like, I really enjoyed it. The setup of the whole entire study is that there are 3 regional hospitals. They have patients who come in with presumptive TB, so they have symptoms of tuberculosis, they're coughing, they have a high temperature, they've lost a lot of weight, so on, and they come into these drop-in centres and they give sputum samples. For those of you who don't know, sputum samples are basically phlegm samples. So they give sputum samples and they ask whether or not they have HIV, because there could be an effect on diagnosis. Those with HIV are more likely to contract TB. And so they ask if they have HIV. If they don't, they can also request like a blood test and be tested for HIV. Obviously some patients will decide not to do that. They're required to give consent to participate in the study. My study kind of added on to an existing HIV TB study that my professor's doing in the area anyway. So they also asked the patients for urine samples, and obviously the patients gave consent for that. And through these 3 hospitals, we were able to accumulate about 206 samples, which is really cool, with about like an 18 to 20% positivity for TB, which again is really good. It's kind of what we wanted and where we were hoping to end up. And from these 3 hospitals, the drivers will go pick up some samples, bringing them in on ice, bring them down to the university. I'm there from 8:30ish till about 4 every single day, with my colleague, just kind of usually working on my dissertation or helping out in the lab, trying to learn a couple of different things. So once they bring in the urine samples in the afternoon, I get to aliquot that, make sure everything is labelled, put them in the right places, store them in a -80 Celsius freezers to make sure that nothing within the urine kind of denatures over time, so breaks down over time. Let me tell you, I got well acquainted with different kinds of urine and what comes out of people. It was quite disgusting. So I was there for 6 weeks doing this. The samples then got transported to Liverpool and then transported to Barcelona, Badalona, which is where the research institute is based. That is an absolutely beautiful place. I had the opportunity to go down and kind of work on my samples. They're basically my children at this point. Work on my samples. And I went there, I think last week. Time is very fuzzy to me right now. I went there, I helped prep all the samples, make sure everything was in place for the machine that we'd be using to analyse the samples to come down. So I'm going back next week in order to sort all of that out, to get some data and just kind of have all of my results, which I'm really, really excited for, because it also means the end of my dissertation, which I love my topic. I'm very, very, very ready to submit and never look at it again, but I absolutely love doing it. So yeah, that's kind of been the reason why, especially following me on Instagram, you've been seeing I've kind of been hopping all over the place, from Nigeria to Liverpool to London, back to Liverpool to Barcelona, back to London, back to Barcelona. My life is all over the place, but that's kind of been the research that I've been doing. It's really, really exciting. If the idea behind the diagnostic is that eventually there'd be a bench-sized diagnostic, which is a one-stop shop. In order to get the diagnostic, patients will give a urine sample. They'll literally be able to pop it into the machine. Within 10 minutes, you get your results. Yes, no. Go along your way. This is obviously a couple of years out. There's a lot of steps that need to be eliminated along the way, but assuming that my pilot study goes well, this is a really, really exciting thing that can kind of happen, especially for TB diagnosis. Tuberculosis, for those of you who don't know, is an airborne disease. It's transported by cough, so I can have TB and not really show any symptoms. I can cough, you can contract it and then begin to present symptoms, and it's usually worse in those with a weakened immune system, like those who have HIV. And it's most obviously prominent in tropical countries and so on, things like that. So I was really fascinated by it. It was something I really wanted to kind of look into. I thought it was a really cool opportunity, and I'm really, really glad I picked it. I can't imagine myself having done any other project. It's something that I really genuinely have enjoyed doing, and it was like a fantastic choice for me. There's nothing else I would have picked. Just been a brief overview into what I've been up to lately, what I've been doing, research abroad. I also just want to kind of give an honest insight into what research abroad is like. There's a lot of moving around. I've always been interested in doing research abroad. I've always been that person who's like, I want to travel for work, live that glamorous life. It's not that glamorous, it's actually kind of exhausting, and I flew mostly in tracksuits, which I 110% recommend, but I absolutely loved it. I don't mind living in hotels for a while at a time, except when I'm hunting for dinner, which is just like so much work. But that aside, I really enjoyed my experience. It was exhausting, but it was also something I learned so much from, and I would absolutely recommend and absolutely do again. The idea behind this channel and this video is just basically to kind of show what goes on in science, show what I do. I'm not really a stereotypical scientist. I'm Muslim, I'm a hijabi, I'm Nigerian, I'm black, and it's kind of not a lot of what I see in media. It's not a lot of what I see on the internet, except for Twitter, which is like the best place for finding a community, by the way. Even on Instagram, there's not a lot of communities that I see of people who look like me, who are anything like me, who are scientists, and I feel like these sort of videos are really important to give it a perspective, to see what people are working on as well, to kind of communicate science in different ways, to have an understanding that anyone can do science. You just have to have a passion for it and just kind of search out the right opportunities, which I'm learning, and I hope to take you guys along the way as I'm learning with you. I don't know what sort of science I'm going to end up in 5 years from now, but it'll be really exciting to kind of catalogue my journey, go along with you, have you join me through all of this, and yeah, that is kind of the aim behind this. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, let me know what you want to see. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, kind of where I hope this channel goes, more blog posts, more YouTube videos and that sort of thing. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.